Welcome to Econ Unplugged. I'm Tanisha.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Trisha.
And I'm Sia.
We're four friends who talk about what's going on in the economy and why it matters. No buzzwords, no lecture, just a straight-up conversation. Today we're talking about the sustainability of the Mumbai quick commerce price war. When we talk about quick commerce industry in Mumbai, we have three major players: Blinkit, Instamart, and Zepto, which create an oligopoly in the industry.
So essentially what an oligopoly actually is, it's when three or more competitors make up 60% or more of the total market share. Now Blinkit, Zepto and Instamart, they make up 70% of the market share.
So what oligopoly also entails is the decisions of one business affect the decisions of the other business based on market share, price wars and other non-price factors.
There are two types of oligopolies, collusive and non-collusive. Collusive is where you collectively decide the price points and you are in agreement with each other in terms of market strategy. When we're talking about Blinkit, Zepto and Instamart, they are in a non-collusive oligopoly where they are competing in terms of price and product differentiation.
So where we see this is, we can see it on the apps as well. Like previously Zepto used to give free delivery charges above a certain point of price, which Blinkit and Instamart would not provide, and now they started doing it. Examples of giving COD deliveries. Yeah, Zepto used to give that, and now Blinkit and Instamart.
So essentially what they do is they kind of feed off of each other. Suppose whatever ideas the other comes up with, they inherit it and they implement it in their own business.
So because they don't want to lose market share, they have to reduce their prices. Like they have to take on the cost of, because COD has cost, right? Because if a person doesn't pay or if the delivery gets cancelled last minute, it creates a cost for their business. So
It's wasted time and you have to pay the gig worker nevertheless.
yeah. So all these, because another company is bearing it, the Instamart also has to bear it.
Correct. This leads to what we know as the game theory of prisoner's dilemma, where if one firm reduces its price, the other firm will immediately also want to reduce its price. And because of this, neither is firm A getting the profit that it desired, neither is firm B, and they are both worse off.
So what happens is the worst case scenario, which is the Nash equilibrium, eventually gets followed, where both of them are earning in the worst case possible scenario.
To expand on game theory or to the prisoner's dilemma, essentially it's the effect of a price war. So suppose me and Hannah, we are having a price war. Both of us will reduce our prices, compete and try to offer customers the lowest price we can go. Sometimes firms use predatory pricing, where they actually sell products below the cost of production.
So in terms of Zepto and Instamart, because they're just apps, obviously even I have Blinkit, Instamart and Zepto on my phone.
Yeah.
I will check on Zepto the prices, I'll check on Instamart, whichever one is the lower, I'll go for that.
And then, so then this price war, both of us reduce our prices so that of course it will lead to a lower revenue.
And it's not really like they're following a non-compete where if a brand is associated with either Zepto or Swiggy, it cannot go to Blinkit or Zomato. They're available on both platforms.
There is no specialization because these brands, they partner with all three because they want their products to be sold.
Also again, when we talk about specifically the Mumbai market, it is so densely populated, and the inherent mindset of a Mumbaiker is that quick, getting everything quick, being efficient. It is very corporate focused where we don't want to waste time, right? So keeping market share is very difficult in a community like this. So they have to compete on a lot of levels. For example, price wars, which is the major one right now.
There is also the entire time factor where, as she said, Mumbai, everyone is very constantly busy. It's a city. It's a very thriving city. So people demand convenience. If something takes 25 minutes is very long. We don't have the patience to wait for that long. For something as simple as fruits, you would want it in 10 minutes. So then these companies have to branch out their warehouses and they have to make sure that in almost every single area, every what are the things called?
Districts.
Every district, it should have 2 or more warehouses.
This could also like have a negative impact on like sustainability in terms of the environment, because there's a lot of wastage in that now, because you're stocking up so much inventory so that you can like give quick deliveries. There's a lot of it that's getting wasted. There's a lot of it that's getting sold in this entire.
There was actually a controversy as well for Zepto, where they did a quality check or like an inspection, and they found that so many products was just thrown on the floor. The Zepto cafe itself was really unclean and wasn't following proper
But
safety.
this was a while back, right?
Yeah, this was a while back, but it did happen.
So again, when we talk about Mumbai and we talk about fast deliveries, the concept of Bertrand competition with capacity constraints comes up, because it is such a dense such a dense city, and keeping market share is difficult. They need to keep the warehouses very close by, even like for a 10-minute delivery, right? Zepto has a lot of warehouses in Mumbai to achieve that 10-minute order time. So, which is one of the reasons I keep ordering from Zepto and not Blinkit or Instamart, because it is quicker. That is one of the places that they compete on.
So the entire game theory just tells us that this price war, competing on the basis of price is not viable in the long
Exactly.
run, because you are gonna end up just not getting the profit that you desire. So if you look at Zomato and Swiggy, they have their apps that are the product differentiators, where they come up with different features to keep their audience engaged.
So how it is theoretically taught to us that oligopolies can't sustainably compete on price wars. They have to eventually start competing on non-price factors such as quick times or the amount of things that are available in the store. So this leads us to the current differentiation in Blinkit, Instamart and Zepto.
Blinkit and Swiggy, they both had like corporations existing before. So Instamart had Swiggy to be backed up by, and Blinkit was backed up by Zomato's parent company, Eternal. So they both had something to like start off from. Whereas Zepto is like a completely
New company.
yeah.
So Zepto essentially has a lot of venture capitalist backing, but it will eventually run out, right? But businesses like Instamart and Blinkit can handle the costs that come with the price wars in a much longer timeline.
Because Zomato, their parent companies like Zomato and Swiggy were already doing well and they were profitable. They had a high EBITDA, so they can support Blinkit and Instamart. So instead of chasing like profitability, first they can establish themselves as a big player in the market, and then later they can chase profits.
Yeah. So another non-price factor that these companies fight on is the amount of items in the store, right? So Blinkit started off by selling phones or high-priced electronics in the store. Yeah. So which then got integrated into Instamart and Zepto. So these are some non-price factors that could eventually they could compete on. So Swiggy has an advantage of having Instamart in the actual Swiggy app, which is way more convenient, right? Because almost a lot of the population has Swiggy. So it is very convenient to just directly go to Instamart and order something. Whereas Zepto and Blinkit are separate apps. So they also compete on these factors, and the sustainability factor. After a point, realizing that they no more can compete on price wars, they have to shift to these non-price factors.
So eventually what is going to happen is, because they cannot compete on price factors, they might come into a collusive oligopoly where they decide that, for example, Blinkit might focus on staples like your groceries and everyday things that you need, essentials, whereas Zepto might focus on electronics, devices, etc. So they might go into category differentiation where they each decide what they want to specialize in and conquer the market as a whole.
Yeah, like Zepto as a cafe, they might start focusing on that, where Instamart and
Right.
Blinkit don't have on that. concluding from today's discussion, we talked about how Blinkit, Instamart and Zepto are currently in a non-collusive oligopoly where they compete on price wars, which is very visible in the industry and on apps. But it is not sustainable, and it will eventually lead to a rationalized oligopoly where they start competing on other factors, they start creating category differentiation, and so they basically timeline of how they're delivering, the number of warehouses that they have, all these non-price factors, and how that might turn out in this industry. That's all from Econ Unplugged. We'll plug back in next time.
Bye.